It was a crisp October afternoon in 2024 when I walked into my family's old cabin on Willow Creek, expecting the familiar creak of the porch and the smell of pine. Instead, I was greeted by a room full of strangers lounging around my dining table like they owned the place. A woman in a sharp blazer, her dark hair pulled back tightly, looked me dead in the eye and said, "You don't belong here anymore." Her name was Evelyn Carter, and she claimed I was trespassing on property no longer mine. I laughed, thinking it was a bad joke, but her face didn't crack. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911, and started screaming about a dangerous intruder disrupting their community meeting. The room spun as I realized this wasn't a mistake, this was a calculated move. Have you ever walked into your own home and felt like reality itself was unraveling? Let me rewind to how this nightmare began. 3 months earlier, my grandmother passed away, leaving me her cozy cabin nestled by Willow Creek in Oregon. It was supposed to be my escape from a tiny Portland apartment and a failing graphic design business. But the dream shattered when I found a stack of unopened mail revealing $15,000 in overdue property taxes, with penalties piling up like snow in a blizzard. The county was breathing down my neck, threatening foreclosure if I didn't pay within 90 days. For a freelancer scraping by on gigs for local coffee shops, that might as well have been $15 million. I applied for loans, got rejected, begged family who shut me down, and even looked into selling plasma. Turns out, that doesn't pay the bills either. Sleepless nights became my norm, and I was starting to accept I'd lose the cabin. Then Evelyn Carter knocked on my door, looking like she'd stepped out of a corporate boardroom. She introduced herself as the president of the newly formed Willow Creek Homeowners Association, a group I'd never heard of despite visiting the cabin since I was a kid. My grandmother would have ranted for days about any HOA nonsense, but Evelyn had a briefcase full of documents, county letterheads, shiny seals, signatures that screamed official. She claimed the HOA was part of a state program to bring mental health services to rural areas, and my cabin had been chosen as a community wellness center for veterans. The kicker? Full tax exemption if I let them use the property for weekend retreats. She showed me meeting minutes, photos of smiling neighbors I didn't recognize, and forms with my grandmother's signature authorizing it all. The signature looked close enough, but something felt off, maybe the pen strokes, maybe my gut. Desperate to save the cabin, I ignored the warning bells. Evelyn's pitch was flawless. Veterans would get therapy, funded by grants and insurance, and I wouldn't lift a finger. My tax debt would vanish. It sounded too perfect, but she had testimonials, letters from grateful patients, even a state official's commendation. Then she slid a document across my Tablia membership agreement with my signature, dated right after I inherited the cabin. I knew I'd never signed it. When I called her out, she shrugged it off as a clerical mix-up, saying estate lawyers often handle such things. Her calm was unnerving, but I was drowning in debt and wanted to believe her. She left me a business card and a chilling smile, saying, "My son will be thrilled to see you again." That word, again, hit like a brick. 10 minutes later, a car door slammed outside. Heavy footsteps crunched on gravel, and in walked Ryan Carter, my old college roommate. 2 years ago, I'd reported him for plagiarizing our final project, getting him expelled. Now, he stood in my cabin, older, angrier, with a smirk that said this wasn't a coincidence. "Mom didn't mention you'd be here," he said, but his tone screamed setup. Evelyn's professional mask slipped, venom lacing her voice as she accused me of ruining Ryan's tech career. They'd been planning this since his expulsion, stalking my life bank statements, social media, even photos of me buying groceries. Ryan admitted to forging my signature, using old assignments to perfect it. Their folders held fake HOA agreements, tax forms, even a transcript showing Ryan's near-perfect GPA until I destroyed him. Evelyn laid out my options: comply with their HOA, let them run their therapy programs, and keep my cabin with a small payout, or face $7,000 fines for violations they'd already filed. My financial ruin made resistance impossible. They'd trapped me, exploiting my desperation with surgical precision. Days later, certified letters from the county arrived, citing violations like unlicensed commercial activity from my design work and improper lawn maintenance. Contesting them meant hiring a lawyer I couldn't afford. Evelyn also reported my business to the state, claiming I operated illegally, threatening $12,000 fines and a permanent ban. When I called the county about the tax exemption, they'd never heard of Willow Creek HOA or any wellness program. Evelyn's promises were lies, and worse, they were investigating similar frauds with forged signatures. Evelyn's live-streamed therapy sessions were a masterclass in deception. She played the saint, hosting veterans retreats while billing insurance for 40-hour programs that were barely 6 hours of group chats. Her followers ate it up, donating to her charity. I watched obsessively, knowing it was fraud but unable to prove it. She never mentioned billing on camera, and her patients seemed more like actors. I felt alone, outmaneuvered by her meticulous planning. Then I met Mrs. Lin, an elderly neighbor who'd been watching Evelyn from her porch, notebook in hand. A Korean War survivor with a no-nonsense glare, she'd moved to Willow Creek a year ago and smelled a scam from day one. Her late husband, a prosecutor, taught her how to gather evidence. She'd recorded Evelyn coaching actors to fake PTSD symptoms and caught her with a fake doctor, Tom Reed, a convicted fraudster posing as a therapist. Mrs. Lin revealed Evelyn was running similar scams at 4 other properties, targeting owners like me with financial woes. Her plan? Let Evelyn get cocky, make a mistake, and expose her. Mrs. Lin's granddaughter, an FBI agent, was already watching. The stakes skyrocketed when my sister, Claire, showed up not as my sibling, but as Special Agent Claire Evans, investigating Evelyn's multi-state fraud. For years, she'd hidden her real job, and now she revealed Evelyn was targeting families of federal agents, using stolen classified files to exploit vulnerabilities. My tax troubles and cabin inheritance were no accident. Evelyn had chosen me to hurt Claire. Her operation involved $8 million in fraudulent billing, identity theft, and corruption within federal agencies. I could face charges for allowing fraud on my property, despite being a victim. Mrs. Lin's recordings, Evelyn's threats, fake inspections, forged documents were my only defense. Evelyn's unraveling came fast. Her live stream, meant to rally support, turned into a public meltdown. She ranted about corrupt agents, waving stolen federal files, and accusing Claire of a vendetta. Photos of me, taken without consent, flashed on screen as she called me a stalker. Her followers, once loyal, questioned her sanity. Ryan, dragged on camera, looked horrified, his answers faltering as Evelyn spun lies about his expulsion. When viewers asked about her billing, she admitted to faking 40-hour sessions and using paid actors, oblivious to the legal weight of her words. Ryan tried to stop her, but she turned on him, screaming about betrayal. Mrs. Lin recorded it all, her cameras capturing Evelyn's every mistake. Ryan, breaking under the pressure, contacted the FBI, wearing a wire to record his mother's plans to frame me for crimes like extortion. Evelyn's final scheme involved staging a fake crime scene at my cabin, but Ryan refused to plant evidence. Their argument, caught on Mrs. Lin's audio, was explosive. Evelyn threatened to implicate him unless he complied. When she smashed what she thought was his recorder, she didn't know he'd used backups, sending everything to the FBI. Sheriff deputies and federal agents swarmed Evelyn's property as she screamed about conspiracies. Her arrest, live-streamed from her dropped phone, drew 60,000 viewers, her rants cementing her guilt. Charges piled up: fraud, identity theft, obstruction, and mishandling classified files. Her $8.2 million scam ended with a 25-year sentence. Ryan's testimony spared him prison but cost him his mother, who disowned him in court. Mrs. Lin's evidence exposed a federal leak, leading to 15 arrests and new security protocols. My cabin was saved, taxes paid through victim compensation, and Mrs. Lin became a local legend, consulting for the FBI. Looking back, Evelyn's revenge failed spectacularly, strengthening my bond with Claire and teaching me to trust my instincts. The cabin, once a target, now hosts real veterans retreats, a testament to community resilience. But the questions linger. Can you ever truly know your neighbors? Would you turn in a family member for justice, like Ryan did? Have you faced a betrayal that flipped your world upside down? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll make you question everything.